Hi everyone, I'm here with Michelle Oates today. She has graciously agreed to sit down and talk to us about the life and times of Hulk Hogan, who just recently passed. No? She has agreed to sit down and talk to us about whether or not this is a buyer's market, a seller's market. Are we going into a buyer's market, and specifically here in the Northeast? Does that sound more?
That sounds good.
All right, so that's what we agreed to talk about. So we're hearing a lot in the media, and I'm thinking this is mostly national, that we are in a buyer's market or we're heavy into a buyer's market. What are you seeing?
Right. So a lot of national press, and I have seen, I believe, some Boston.com type press as well, talking about the fact that prices are at an all-time high, but sales are slowing. The media seems confused by that. I don't think we're as confused as they are.
Well, we're there. We see it every day, so it's a
Right.
little easier for us to notice it and sort of dissect it.
Right.
And I think that it is confusing a lot of the buyers out there. Like, what
Yeah.
should they be doing?
And sellers. So we are at the time of year where every year, just about every year, we see a seasonal shift. So remember we did a video a few months ago where we told people they should be selling in the first quarter of the year, the late winter, the early spring. That's when there are not a lot of sellers and there are a lot of buyers. This time of the year, we've seen a lot of the inventory come onto the market. I don't want to say there's too much, there's still not really enough, but there's a lot more inventory than people are used to seeing. And because of that, sales start to slow down. And people are distracted, people are taking their vacations, but I really don't think it's that. When a house comes on the market that has good value, people do still flock to it. We're seeing a little more inventory than we're used to. That said, in a lot of parts of the country, we're also seeing a more significant shift. It's not just seasonal. Inventory is up. Here in New England and in Massachusetts, it's kind of a mixed bag. If you look statewide at Massachusetts inventory or Boston inventory, you're looking at inventory, this day versus the same day a year ago being up like 20 to 25%. That's significant. So we're definitely kind of beyond COVID, starting to build inventory back up to normal levels. But it's really a town by town thing. And I just pulled up data in Andover, and today versus a year ago, there's 20% less inventory on single family.
So even though we're higher than where we were a year ago or 2 years ago
Right.
or 4 years ago, we're still significantly lower than where we were in 2019.
Exactly. Some towns were kind of back to where we were in 2019. Andover, we're not there yet.
No, I don't like predicting, but
Right.
because there are a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
What's the Fed going to do? What's the government going to do? What's North Korea going to do? Are we going to go into a buyer's market here, or are we going to just sort of chug along where we are and slip into maybe a neutral market?
It is hard to tell because there are so many things. If we had talked about this in 2019, who would have ever predicted COVID? And then when COVID happened, the industry predicted that everything was going to stop and come to a screeching halt, and then the opposite happened. So you just don't know what's going to happen in the world. In terms of the real estate market, I mean, all of the predictions I've been seeing over the last few years that make sense to me here in Massachusetts, at least, are that we're going to continue to see more and more inventory each year, but not massive amounts more, just, slight amounts. And that as a result, we're going to see price appreciation decrease, but that's not the same as prices decreasing, right? Just because we talk about prices not increasing the way they did before doesn't mean they won't still increase, but we might be talking about 1% per year or 2 or 3% per year, not the 20% that we were seeing a few years ago.
And that's what we're supposed to see in real estate. Real estate's kind of supposed to follow inflation, maybe lead it a little bit or fall behind a little bit, but it should be
healthy. Similar to inflation. Right. It should vary with the cost of living. So that is, the expectation. The only thing, other than some crazy thing happening in the world that moves things one way or the other, is we do have a lot of, I'm going to call them the silent generation, the people who are now in their 80s and 90s. We still have people living in single family homes. They're still in their house. That generation didn't move and downsize as rapidly as the boomers are now. So there are still a lot of people that want or need to sell, and that's got to happen in the coming years. We've got boomers of all ages downsizing, and even Gen X and people our age are starting to downsize in some cases. As soon as the kids are out of the house, it's a generation that's moving more. The boomers obviously are a huge generation. Our little Gen X, not so much. But I do think that we're going to see a lot more homes coming on the market in the years to come. So could that get out of balance? Could we have more selling than buying? Well, that would make a huge difference in the market, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think for us to go into a buyer's market, at least here in like this, inside the 495, southern New Hampshire, this Boston, like Northeast, right around here, part of New England. I think we're going to have to see, if we want to go into like a pure, a buyer's market, you're going to need job loss. You're going to need
people have to be forced
stress
to sell.
and pain put on people where they have to sell the house that has the 3% interest rate because they're literally 4 months behind on their mortgage. You're also going to need to see an increase of the people who are just moving out of the area because the jobs aren't here anymore. Maybe they're somewhere else, or there's opportunity somewhere else, or if they've always wanted to go to the flatlands of Florida and get cooked by 100-degree temperatures in August, which I don't want to do. I think it's going to be you're going to need a lot of things to happen here for us to go into a buyer's market. And
right.
I don't think we're going to get there for years.
Anytime soon. Right. The last time this happened, so 2006 to 2011, that time frame, it was people having to sell. It was people who didn't, just because of financing and everything that happened there, they didn't have enough equity in their homes. One little change made them have to sell.
Okay.
Right now, we have the vast majority of homeowners have a lot of equity. They don't have to sell. So they'll be stubborn about it. And that's why you're seeing these national articles that say prices are higher than ever, but the number of homes is selling because people don't have to sell. They're stubborn and they're pulling back.
All right, so what can somebody who wants to sell their house right now, because, I'm seeing stuff sit. So I'm not going to call it a seller's market, but I'm seeing properties sit. And the properties I'm seeing sit, they're sitting for specific reasons. If you're thinking about selling right now, do you list today or do you list in September? What do you do to make that house more attractive to the very few buyers that are out there?
Right.
Because you're
and I don't think there are very few. I just think that they need to see value.
So there are less buyers right now than there were, say, 2 years ago when we were getting 8 to 10 offers.
Yeah.
Well,
there were just more homes. It's a little of both.
A little both, yeah. So I just had a house up in New Hampshire, and we had 12 people look at the house or 10 people look at the house, and we got 3 or 4 offers off that. So it's very few buyers, but the buyers that are there, they're aggressive and they're trying to buy the houses. But at the same time, there are 3 other houses in that development, just slightly more expensive than us, and all of them are sitting. They're not selling.
So you found the right price for that home.
I think we did, yeah.
All right. So what should a seller do? Well, it really depends. Everybody's situation is very different. If you are someone who is selling and also buying, so you want to downsize, you want to upsize, you want to move to another town, a lot of people in that situation, it's a wash. If you sell in the best possible market, you're buying in the worst possible market, and vice versa. So there's really not a perfect time or a terrible time to do it, because where you save on one side, you lose on the other side. So I would not hesitate. The good thing about this time of year is that there is more inventory.
Yeah.
So if you wait until January to sell, you may have an incredible bidding war for your house, but you also may not be able to find a home. So you have to be prepared for that sort of scenario where you rent for a while or something.
Because when you don't know what the market's going to do, it's really important to almost buy and sell on the same day.
Yeah,
so if you're selling high and you're buying high, great. You feel the pain of, I think I've overpaid for this house, but you may have oversold this house. But if you sell your house here and don't buy, and you go into a rental for a year or 2 years, and the market goes up 4%.
Yeah.
They all went up 4%, but your dollar didn't go up 4%. So now it's costing you that much more for that house. So I think if you're buying and selling,
at least you know that it's going to be a wash. Now, if you are selling and you already have a place to go, you're going to rent, or you're retiring, a couple of years from now, and you already have that retirement home, and it's possible to commute until then. I don't think this is a bad time to sell. Probably would be getting ready and then coming on the market in the fall, but a lot of people will be doing that. Yeah. Historically, the ideal time has been that winter and early spring. But you don't know. You don't know for sure what's going to happen. We can't promise you that this coming winter is going to be exactly the same as it's been the last few years. And also, what's it going to cost you over the winter? Are there things you need to do on the home? Is the heat going to go? Are you going to have to shovel the driveway all winter? Is it really worth it to make a little more money by waiting? That's a decision that you have to make, and a good agent is going to help you. I will say, if you decide that you're going to wait and you're going to sell next winter or next spring, don't be here a year from now in the same position because you weren't ready. Now is the time. You have a great agent like Sean come in, take a look at your house, give you recommendations on what to do to get ready for sale, and then spend the fall and the winter doing that, so you are out of the gate in 2026.
All right. So what can the buyer do right now? Because we are still in a seller's market, and they are still competing, not with 10 offers, but potentially 2 or 3 offers. What can they do?
Right. I think this is a pretty good time. It's the best time we've had in probably 6 years, at least in this market, to be a buyer. I think that you need a really good professional agent who knows the local market, who can give you advice, because it's going to be a different situation. You may come into a house and it's been on the market for a few weeks and it's clearly overpriced, and you may be able to negotiate a pretty good deal. Not a crazy good deal, but a good deal.
No, but a fair deal where both sides are
market value. But if you're coming on and this house just came on the market and the open houses were mobbed and your agent says, you know, I think this is a little bit underpriced, you're going to have to respond accordingly and find some terms that are really going to be appealing to the seller. And I had somebody over the weekend tell me that their client wanted to come in under asking price because a house just sold across the street for under asking price. This was a completely different situation, a different price. It's just coming on the market. There have been showings all weekend long. Can't do that.
Yeah, and the house across the street might have needed a kitchen, might have needed bathrooms. The floors might have had to been refinished. The roof might be toast. The heating system might be gone. If you didn't go into that house and actually look at that house and see what the condition was, compare it specifically to this house, because don't just go by the photographs. Photographs lie. It's not that they're photoshopping them, but lighting, staging, angle, and you can make something look 100% move-in ready. That's 75% move-in ready, 80% move-in ready, and you go to that other house across the street going, this house looks just as good. Yeah, but it's not.
Right. And I see you out on broker tour, right? Every Thursday you're going to these homes in Andover and North Andover that are on the market, and that's why you do it. So that when someone calls you and they want to list their house, you can say, I was in that house, I was in that house. Here's how you really compare.
Yeah. It is important to know your inventory, especially in your local market. Doesn't mean you can't, work a little bit outside your market, but you need to know what's going on in your market. And they usually have food at broker tours. That's the main reason we go. I'm gonna admit that, and everybody will testify that Sean goes for the food.
And provides good food.
And provide good food. Whenever my house is on broker tour, just so you know, there's going to be lemon squares, there's going to be brownies, there's going to be sausage and maybe pavlova. I don't know. Usually sugar.
Didn't we have smoked salmon recently?
Yeah, Alex had me do smoked salmon at the Redding house.
And it worked.
Yeah, it worked. They ate all the smoked salmon, and the house sold.
It did.
All right, so we've got a plan for buyers, we've got a plan for sellers. So now it's just we have to cover Hulk Hogan, I think.
Yeah, we'll do that next week.
Next week we'll do Hulk Hogan. You're going to come back. You just heard it. She's going to come back next week.
I'll be away.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
If you have any specific questions, don't be afraid to reach out. We're happy to sit down with you and chat real estate or Hulk Hogan.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.